we talk about a resurrection, that is one of the things that we need to be resurrected from, which is us giving other people power over us. And us feeling that other people are smarter than us. You ever go in somebody's presence and you're talking to them and you kind of feel little because you feel like they know so much and you don't? Well, guess what? You're giving away your God-given power, and you should not do that. So we are talking about being resurrected over the idea that other people have power over us. We are talking about being resurrected from the idea of lack and limitation. And what do we hear all around? We hear about lack and limitation. We hear about the high price of gas, and we hear about war and rumors of war. We hear about people being laid off, and let's look at this. What happened to Jesus on Good Friday? Jesus was crucified. Jesus, before he was put on the cross, was physically beaten. Physically. Now, we said on Good Friday that we don't dwell on the physical pain and anguish, but it happened. It happened. Guess what, my friends? Even though it happened, he still made his resurrection. Guess what? For us, even though some of us may go through experiences that may be painful and that may seem earth-shattering and that may turn our lives upside down, that does not mean that we cannot rise above that situation. Just because we are leading a spiritual life, or we're striving to lead a spiritual life, that doesn't mean that things will not happen. Guess what? If you have children, things will. And I have children. My wife and I have children. One of our children is here today. Guess what? Things will happen. If you have grandchildren, you know things will happen. If you have elderly parents, hello, you know that things will happen. Our task, our role, our lesson on this resurrection day is to know that even though things happen, and yes, we realize that things do happen, even though they do happen, they do not have to limit us. They do not have to tear our whole world apart. Let us know on this resurrection day that even though things change, and we'll kind of get into some of this next Sunday when we talk about what happened after the resurrection. But Jesus was crucified, killed. But his ministry did not end there. Like I said, we'll talk about that this next Sunday, so you got to come back to hear that part of it next Sunday. When things happen in our lives, that doesn't have to mean that it is the end. Things change, and it's a matter of us changing and making the adjustments, the divine adjustments that are necessary. We talk about a resurrection consciousness. Well, let's understand that the resurrection is not, even though with Jesus it happened on one day, but for us, it takes place in stages. It takes place a little bit at a time. We may be able to resurrect one aspect of our being. We may be able to rise above a certain type of thoughts or a certain type of feelings and emotions, but still be, not expressing our highest on other levels. So when we talk about a resurrection, let us realize that our entire life may not change in the twinkling of an eye. It can, but it may be, which usually the way it is, in stages and phases. So let us realize that, and let us accept even the small changes in our own consciousness, realizing that those small changes will lead to greater changes. My friends, anytime that you rise out of a valley consciousness, out of a consciousness of despair and doubt and self-pity, know that resurrected. The message on this day for us, because again, we're not just talking about a story that happened 2,000 years ago to a man named Jesus. We're talking about an event that happens and can happen and will happen and was meant to happen within us. The message is for us, awake thou that sleepest, and rise from the dead, and Christ shall shine upon thee. My friends, this is your day of resurrection. This truly is our day of resurrection. This is the day whereby we make a decision to change our lives right here and right now. On your bulletin, on the back of your bulletin, is a responsive reading. I will read the minister's part, and you will read the congregational part, reading it with feeling and knowing that there are messages in here for you that will help you to rise above whatever circumstances that you need to rise above. The Christ Spirit within me is the true source of wisdom and spiritual power.
Through the Christ Spirit within me, I am resurrected into a greater consciousness of wisdom and spiritual power.
The resurrecting Spirit of the Christ within me quickens the healing life in every part of my being.
I am whole, strong, and free, as God created me to be. I rejoice in my healing.
The forgiving love of the Christ Spirit within me releases all human hurts and anger.
I am resurrected into new understanding, and I freely forgive as I am forgiven.
The resurrecting Spirit of the Christ within me increases my awareness of infinite substance to meet every need.
I am enriched and prosper. An abundance of God's good fills my life and affairs.
The resurrecting Spirit of the Christ within me fills my whole being with love.
I am loving and I am loved. I express love freely and fully.
The Christ Spirit within me is my pattern for perfection and successful living.
Through the Christ Spirit within me, I am resurrected and perfected in mind, body, and affairs. I am made whole.
I am made whole. Take this with you and work with these affirmations throughout the week and beyond that. Work with them so that you indeed will be infilled with the truth of your being, and so that you will indeed be able to experience your own resurrection. We have a wreath up here. Will our ushers come forward? Just need two of you. Just two. Thank you. And if you can just turn this way. We have a wreath of light with flowers, beautiful flowers. These flowers symbolize and represent life, divine life, a new life, a new awareness. These flowers symbolize and represent your resurrection.